Kenya's highlands hold some of the rarest trees on earth. Trees that most people walk past every day without knowing they are looking at something that may disappear within their lifetime. In 2023, with support from Franklinia Foundation, the Center for Ecosystem Restoration Kenya began the work of finding them, understanding them, and bringing them back.
These particular species that are kind of critically endangered, to the ordinary person, they look as they don't have any value, but in nature, they have a special function.
Entire populations have already gone silent, lost to land use change, habitat loss, and a simple lack of awareness that they were ever there.
It's not only threatened because of either habitat loss or overuse, but their nature in the habitat, the reproduction pattern, it's not synchronized. They can skip so many years, and if they reproduce, the quantity of seeds that they produce is quite low. Regeneration potential is also low. Seed handling is another area that is not well understood. It's a whole gap that needs to be bridged.
Before you can save something, you have to find it. And before you plant it back, you have to understand it. With Franklinia's support, this work did not begin with planting. It began with a question: where are these trees? And what do they need to survive?
We started by desktop review of different materials to come up with the proposal, but later on we needed to do the actual implementation, which required the participation of most of the stakeholders as well as communities who understand the landscape better. Having people who have previously worked in the same landscape, we were able to maneuver the journey as so fast because we were able to identify the location of those species, to get the communities on board.
Getting the science right mattered, because too often, restoration starts with good intentions and ends with the wrong trees in the wrong place.
What we have seen in the past is that in the next 3 days there will be tree planting, then seedlings come from all over. Whether it is best for that side or not, that one results in two things. One is wastage of seedlings. So much is brought against the planting area. Wrong species are brought to that site. You find somebody planting with the tube into soil, which results in very poor performance or even death of that seedling.
This project was built on a different approach. The right species, the right place, and people trained to do it properly.
We have an act of parliament that allows or grants Kenya Forest Service the mandate to conserve and sustainably manage all state or public forest. Over and above that, we have priority government pronouncements. Today we have a 15 billion tree growing policy. It's aimed at advancing not just tree cover, but also conservation of our biodiversity hotspots. We are talking about 30% tree cover, but within that space, we also want to see that we are able to conserve our very important biodiversity hotspots.
The policy framework existed. The mandate was there. The Franklinia CER-K partnership provided the missing piece, a tested, replicable model that could turn policy into action at the landscape level with communities at its center. Saving a species takes more than science. It takes the people who live alongside these forests, who know where the old trees grow, who carry seeds home in their hands.
Today marks 3 years since we started our project under Franklinia Foundation, and this project was focusing on conservation of central highland threatened tree species, where we are incorporating community aspect, the Community Forest Association. So this project was not possible without the funds from Franklinia, but we saw the essence of having strategic partnership to implement its objective, and that's why we partnered with Government of Kenya through the Kenya Forest Service to adopt a forest at curator forest, whereby whereby we do restoration and reintroduction of the threatened species back to the forest. And also, we also partnered with schools. We've partnered with more than 15 schools actually to do this tree planting, where kids are being educated on the importance of rare and threatened species.
Some of the most vital work came from women. Forest walkers, seed collectors, holders of knowledge no database contains.
Women should be involved from collecting the seeds, to propagating the seeds, taking care of the tree nurseries, planting the trees and taking care of the trees. Women play a very key role. They travel kilometers inside the forest to go and look for firewood. It is very easy for them to see the seeds from the trees, pick those seeds. There's a lot of indigenous knowledge which is hosted by women. If we are fully involved in them, from getting the seeds to propagation to planting, they own the whole value chain.
Hii watu wa Franklinia walioletwa na CER-K wakati walikuja wakatufunza haya mafunzo ya mbegu na miti na upanzi wa miti, ndio mimi nilipata ujuzi. Juu walituelezea vile unaweza okota mbegu na uhifadhi, alafu uweke kwa seed bench, alafu uweke kwa tubes, alafu upate kuitunza kama nursery. Kama si wao, hii nursery ingekuwa hivi. Walituelimisha unaweza okota hata hii mbegu na uuze na upate pesa.
And across communities, something began to shift. Restoration was no longer an idea. It became something people could do, something they could own. In 3 years, the impact is visible. 25 threatened tree species now in active conservation. More than 42,000 seedlings planted across forest landscapes, and over 21,000 of those are globally threatened and ecologically important species. Survival rates as high as 100% in some species. 17.2 hectares of forest restored in key biodiversity areas, and over 9,500 people reached through awareness and outreach.
The community and the stakeholders will appreciate it if they attach it to a certain value. For example, pruners is known for treatment of the prostate cancer, and it fetches a lot of money in the market outside.
This workshop is crucial because it's giving us a different perspective, a different approach to restoration, so that we are able to even assess a species mix in terms of the indigenous trees that we must get back into the forest. All the other partners we are working with and who are part of this workshop today, if they are able to tweak their approach to align with the best practice.
A forest doesn't recover in 3 years, but in 3 years, you can build what recovery needs. Seed banks, trained hands, mapped populations, partnerships that hold, the kind of foundation that only comes from staying the course.
We are coming to the final close of this particular project, and it was necessary to bring on board all the stakeholders that have made this entire journey possible, from knowing the location of this particular species, getting us into contacts with the communities, as well as accessing government protected areas to adopt a forest and establish a restoration plot that works as a model that can be replicated across the landscape.
Without partners like Franklinia, the Global Biodiversity Standard, the government, the policymakers, the community who actually live closer to this forest, and even the children who are the next generation who will benefit for this restoration work, implementing restoration is really hard. The only way to have impactful ecosystem restoration is through strategic partnership.
Hii miti inaitwa Euvaryodendron anisatum, kwa Kimeru inaitwa Metongu, iko katika hatari ya kuangamia kwa hii msitu yetu ya Ngaya. Ndio sisi kama kikundi tumechukua hatua ya kutafuta miche tupande kusudi tu restore hii msitu yetu na miti isipotee kwa sababu ni ya kiasili.
And I always remember Wangari Maathai, she talked about a hummingbird story. There was this big fire, but this small hummingbird said, we have to do something about it. Used to go to the river, get small amount of water and come and throw it into the into the forest. The fire was not going off for sure, but the bird was doing something. So if all of us do our little thing, let us all of us do your part. Let us all of us do our part. And when we do all our part, then we will make sure that our environment is thriving.
This is what it looks like when restoration starts to take hold, thanks to a partnership that believed this work was worth doing. What we have built here is working, but it is not finished. These species still need protection. These systems need to grow. And this model needs to go further. The next phase is already within reach. What it needs now is partners willing to take it forward.